A jet engine looks like a machine that throws fire backward, but the real secret is that most of its thrust comes from air that never burns at all. The strange thing about the engines under a modern airliner wing is that the flame is not the whole story. Much of the useful work comes from a giant fan at the front, moving an enormous mass of cold air around the core. By the end, the engine will stop looking like a fire tube and start looking like a balanced air-moving system. Every blade, shaft, compressor stage, fuel nozzle, turbine disc, and exhaust duct exist to answer one question. How do you push enough air backward to lift hundreds of tons without melting the machine that makes it happen? The whole engine begins with Newton's third law. Push air backward, and the aircraft is pushed forward. A balloon flying across a room is the simplest version of the same idea. Air leaves one way, the object moves the other way. A jet engine is just a far more controlled version of that exchange. Thrust depends on how much air the engine moves and how much speed it adds to that air. Early jet engines mostly solved the problem by taking a smaller amount of air and blasting it backward very fast. Modern turbofans changed the strategy. They move a much larger amount of air, but accelerate most of it more gently. That is why the fan at the front matters so much. It is not decoration. It is the main air mover. When air reaches a modern turbofan, it first meets the large front fan. On many commercial engines, that fan is wider than a person is tall. Its job is to grab a huge stream of air and divide it into two paths. Some air goes into the engine core. Most air goes around the core through the bypass duct. In a high bypass turbofan, 5, 8, or even more than 10 times as much air can bypass the core as passes through it. That bypass air never mixes with fuel and never burns, but it still leaves the engine faster than it arrived. Because it is such a large mass of air, it produces most of the thrust during normal flight. This is the first reversal. The flame is essential, but cold air does much of the pushing. Before the fan can do useful work, the inlet has to deliver air smoothly. That sounds simple, but it is difficult across taxi, takeoff, climb, cruise, rain, crosswinds, and turbulence. The inlet slows and shapes the incoming flow so the fan does not receive chaotic air at the wrong angle. If airflow separates or arrives unevenly, the fan and compressor can lose efficiency or stability. The nacelle around the engine is therefore not just a cover. It is an aerodynamic device. It must guide air into the fan, reduce drag around the outside, help control noise, and still leave room for structure, anti-icing systems, fire protection, and maintenance access. Even before combustion begins, the engine is already solving an airflow problem. The smaller stream that enters the core has a harder job. Before fuel can be burned efficiently, the air must be compressed. Compressor blades squeeze it through a narrowing path, stage by stage, raising its pressure and temperature. A single blade row does not do much by itself. The power comes from stacking many stages in sequence. By the time air reaches the back of the compressor, it can be dozens of times more pressurized than the air outside. Fuel does not create useful thrust simply by being set on fire. It must release energy into a dense, controlled flow. Compression turns thin incoming air into a working fluid that can carry far more energy through the engine. The combustion chamber is where aviation kerosene is sprayed into the compressed air and burned continuously. This is not a chain of explosions. It is a steady flame held in place while air races through the chamber. The design problem is delicate. Air is moving fast enough that an ordinary flame would blow out, yet the engine must stay stable from takeoff power to cruise altitude. Fuel nozzles atomize the kerosene into a fine mist. Swirlers shape the airflow, and liner holes meter cooling air around the flame. The result is a controlled release of heat. The air expands, gains energy, and rushes toward the turbine. The engine has created the hot flow it needs, but also its biggest danger. After combustion, the hot gas does not simply shoot out the back. First, it passes through turbine stages. These blades extract energy from the gas and use it to spin the shafts connected to the compressor and fan. That is the self-sustaining loop at the center of the engine. The compressor makes dense air. Dense air lets fuel burn powerfully. The hot gas spins the turbine. The turbine drives the compressor and fan so the process can continue. This is the second reversal. The turbine is not mainly there to make thrust directly. It harvests enough energy to keep the air-moving system alive. Take too little energy and the compressor slows. Take too much and the exhaust loses useful force. The engine lives in that balance. The most punishing part of a turbofan is not the speed of the aircraft, it is the temperature inside the turbine. Modern turbine inlet temperatures can exceed the melting point of the metal blades that sit in that flow. The only reason the blades survive is that they are not ordinary pieces of metal. They use nickel-based superalloys, special crystal structures, thermal barrier coatings, and internal cooling passages. Some blades bleed cooler compressor air through tiny holes, forming a protective film over their surface. That cooling air is expensive because it was already compressed using engine power. Use too little, and the blade fails. Use too much, and efficiency suffers. A modern engine is therefore not just an air machine. It is a heat management machine operating near the edge of materials science. A pilot does not manually coordinate fan speed, compressor stability, fuel flow, turbine temperature, and bleed valves. A full authority digital engine control system manages that balance. When the thrust lever moves, the control system decides how much fuel to add, how quickly the engine can accelerate, and which limits must be protected. Add fuel too aggressively and temperatures can spike or the compressor can surge. Add it too slowly and the aircraft does not get the commanded thrust. Sensors watch pressure, temperature, shaft speed, vibration, and other signals. The control system turns those signals into small corrections many times per second. Modern reliability is not just strong metal. It is also constant control. The reason turbofans became dominant is efficiency. A pure turbojet throws a smaller stream of air backward at very high speed. That works, but it wastes energy because the exhaust leaves much faster than the aircraft needs. A high bypass turbofan spreads the work across a larger air mass. The exhaust velocity is lower, the propulsive efficiency is higher, and the engine is quieter. This is why the bypass ratio became one of the key numbers in commercial engine design. More bypass air usually means better fuel efficiency, but only up to the point where the fan, nacelle, weight, drag, and ground clearance still make sense. The engine is always a compromise between physics and aircraft design. Make the fan larger and the engine may save fuel, but it also becomes heavier and harder to fit under the wing. Inside the engine, thousands of parts are spinning, heating, cooling, bending, and vibrating through every flight. Fan blades must survive bird strikes. Compressor blades must avoid stall and surge. Shafts must transmit enormous power while staying aligned. Bearings must handle rotation for thousands of hours. The casing must contain failures that engineers hope never happen. Certification tests are deliberately violent. Engines are run with water, ice, and birds fired into them. Blades are tested for containment. Components are cycled through heat and stress until their fatigue limits are understood. The calm engine sound from a passenger seat hides an extreme reliability problem. A turbofan is allowed to operate only because its worst cases have been studied, tested, and bounded long before passengers ever board. Modern turbofans are not built with the fantasy that nothing will wear out. They are built around inspection, replacement, and life limits. Some parts are checked between flights. Others are removed during scheduled shop visits after thousands of hours. Critical rotating parts have cycle limits because each takeoff, climb, cruise, descent, and landing adds thermal and mechanical stress. Maintenance can account for a major share of an airline's operating cost because the engine is one of the most valuable and stressed systems on the aircraft. The same design that makes the engine efficient also makes it expensive to preserve. That is the trade. Efficiency and reliability depend on disciplined part tracking. The next leap in jet engines will not come from one magic part. Engineers are pushing geared fans, ceramic matrix composites, open fan concepts, higher pressure ratios, better coatings, and more precise digital monitoring. Sustainable aviation fuel can reduce life cycle emissions, but it does not change the basic thermodynamics of the engine. Hydrogen and batteries face difficult energy density and storage problems for large, long-range aircraft. So the near future still depends on improving the turbofan system piece by piece. The frontier is making every compromise less painful, less fuel, less noise, less maintenance, lower emissions, and the same safety margins passengers already expect. So the engine under the wing is not simply throwing fire backward. It is moving air in two carefully managed streams. The fan moves a huge cold stream for efficient thrust. The compressor prepares a smaller core stream for combustion. The combustor adds heat without losing control. The turbine steals enough energy to keep the fan and compressor turning. The materials survive temperatures they should not survive by using cooling and coatings that are almost as impressive as the engine itself. The opening mystery now has an answer. A turbofan keeps an airliner moving because it is a chain of air, heat, metal, and pressure, each part solving the next problem just in time. The next time you feel that push at takeoff, the remarkable part is not just the roar. It is the invisible air system turning fuel, pressure, and heat into controlled motion.